The stars shimmered like diamonds scattered across black velvet, a sight that never failed to take Alex Carter's breath away. He leaned closer to the observation window of the small spacecraft, his eyes wide with wonder as he gazed at the endless expanse of space. For someone who had spent most of his life farming corn in rural Nebraska, this trip felt like stepping into a dream. It wasn't every day that an ordinary person got the chance to leave Earth and see the universe up close. Alex hadn't planned on becoming an astronaut or anything grand like that. He'd simply signed up for a commercial space tour advertised as the adventure of a lifetime. The brochure promised breathtaking views of distant planets, zero-gravity experiences, and a safe return home after 3 days. What could go wrong? Space travel had become so common now, almost routine. At least, that's what everyone said. But fate had other plans. Far from Earth, near the edge of human-explored territory, something unexpected happened. A group of alien ships appeared out of nowhere, their sleek metallic forms glinting ominously under the light of a nearby star. These weren't friendly visitors. They belonged to the Zix Collective, a species known more for its cold logic than warmth or hospitality. They were explorers, scientists, and sometimes enforcers, beings who viewed themselves as superior to less advanced civilizations like humanity. When the Zix detected Alex's ship drifting through their designated zone, they didn't hesitate. Their vessels surrounded it, weapons charged but not yet fired. Through a crackling transmission, they ordered the pilot to power down and prepare for boarding. Panic rippled through the tiny craft. Alex gripped the armrests of his seat tightly, his heart pounding. This wasn't supposed to happen. Nobody mentioned anything about hostile aliens when he bought the ticket. The Zix boarded quickly, their movements precise and mechanical. They wore suits that made them look like walking shadows, their faces obscured behind reflective visors. One of them grabbed Alex roughly, dragging him toward their ship despite his protests. He tried to explain that he was just a tourist, an innocent bystander caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But language barriers and fear turned his words into useless noise. Back aboard the Zix vessel, things escalated rapidly. Alex struggled against his captors, desperate to escape. In the chaos, one of the Zix operatives panicked. A single shot rang out, a bolt of energy striking Alex square in the chest. His body crumpled to the floor, lifeless before anyone could react. Silence fell over the room. Even the Zix seemed stunned by what had happened. No one had intended to kill him. It was supposed to be a simple capture, a way to assert dominance over intruders in their territory. But mistakes were made, and now there was no taking it back. Hours later, footage of the incident leaked onto the Galactic network. Back on Earth, people watched in horror as the grainy video played on repeat across news channels and social media platforms. There was Alex, a stranger to most, pleading for mercy before being gunned down without warning. The image of his lifeless body burned itself into the minds of millions. It didn't matter that Alex was just one person. To humanity, he represented all of them. And when word spread about how casually his life had been taken, outrage erupted like wildfire. Protests filled the streets of cities around the globe. People held signs reading *Justice for Alex and *Never Forget. Governments scrambled to respond, unsure whether to negotiate or retaliate. In the quiet town where Alex grew up, neighbors gathered outside his family's farmhouse, tears streaming down their faces. They remembered him as a kind man who always lent a helping hand. Now his name would forever be tied to something much bigger, a moment that changed everything. As Earth seethed with anger, the galaxy looked on, curious to see how this seemingly insignificant planet would react. Little did anyone know, humanity was about to prove it wasn't as weak or divided as some believed. The death of Alex Carter became more than just a story. It turned into a movement. Within hours of the leaked footage, Rachel Meyer, a journalist from New York City, sat in her small apartment staring at her laptop screen. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she watched the video again and again. She couldn't stop thinking about the fear in Alex's eyes before the shot rang out. It haunted her. Rachel knew she had to write something, but what could she say? How do you put into words the pain of losing someone most people didn't even know? Then it hit her. She opened a blank document and typed the title, "One Life Equals All Lives." As she wrote, her words flowed with passion, anger, and hope. She reminded readers that Alex wasn't just a name on the news. He was a person with dreams, hobbies, and loved ones. He liked sunsets, fixing tractors, and sharing meals with his family. And now he was gone because aliens thought they could act without consequences. When Rachel published the article online, she didn't expect much. But within minutes, comments poured in. Thousands of people shared her piece, calling it powerful and exactly what we needed to hear. By morning, her phone buzzed nonstop with messages from friends, strangers, and even reporters asking for interviews. Overnight, Rachel became the voice of humanity's outrage. Across the globe, protests erupted. In Paris, crowds filled the streets holding candles and pictures of Alex. In Tokyo, demonstrators chanted slogans demanding justice. Even in small towns like Oak Ridge, Kansas, families came together to honor his memory. A group of teenagers painted a mural on the side of an old barn showing Alex smiling under a starry sky, with the words "Never Again" written boldly below. Governments struggled to keep up with the public's demands. At the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, delegates argued late into the night about how to respond. Benjamin Hayes, a calm and thoughtful ambassador from the United States, stood at the center of the chaos. He believed Earth needed to show unity, not division. Wearing his trademark navy blue suit, he addressed the assembly, speaking slowly and clearly so everyone could understand. "We cannot let this pass," Benjamin said, looking directly at the cameras broadcasting his speech worldwide. Alex Carter may have been one man, but he represents all of us. If we stay silent, if we do nothing, then what message does that send? That our lives don't matter. That any species can harm us without facing consequences. His words resonated deeply, earning applause from many nations. Yet behind closed doors, disagreements simmered. Some leaders wanted immediate retaliation against the Zix collective. Others argued for diplomacy, fearing war might destroy Earth before it even began. The debate grew heated, with voices rising until someone finally slammed a fist on the table, shouting for order. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers worked around the clock to prepare Earth for whatever came next. Factories churned out new weapon systems designed to counteract alien technology. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, eager to join newly formed defense forces. People donated money, supplies, and time, determined to protect their planet. Even children pitched in, organizing bake sales and lemonade stands to raise funds. Back in Nebraska, Alex's family tried to make sense of it all. His sister Laura spent hours reading messages from strangers who promised never to forget her brother. Their mother, Mary, avoided watching the news altogether, unable to bear seeing Alex's face on every channel. His father, John, spent long nights sitting alone in the barn, staring at the tractor Alex used to fix. Each member of the family grieved in their own way, but they found comfort knowing Alex's death hadn't been in vain. As days passed, the world continued to rally around Alex's memory. Flags flew at half-mast in cities across the globe. Artists created songs, poems, and paintings inspired by his story. Teachers told students about him in classrooms, using his life as an example of why kindness matters. Slowly but surely, humanity transformed its grief into action. Far beyond Earth, other alien species watched closely. Some sympathized with humans, understanding their pain. Others dismissed the uproar, claiming Earth was overreacting. But no matter what anyone thought, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. And deep down, everyone wondered, what would happen next? At the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, tension filled the air like a storm about to break. Delegates from every corner of the world gathered in a large conference room, their faces serious and voices low as they discussed what to do next. The death of Alex Carter had shaken humanity to its core, and now it was up to these leaders to decide how Earth would respond. Benjamin Hayes stood near the front of the room, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. He watched as diplomats argued with one another, their words sharp and urgent. Some wanted revenge, demanding that Earth strike back at the Zix collective immediately. Others urged caution, warning that humanity wasn't ready for a war with such an advanced species. Benjamin listened carefully, nodding occasionally but staying silent. He knew when to speak and when to wait. When the noise grew too loud, Benjamin stepped forward and raised a hand. The room slowly quieted, all eyes turning to him. "We are stronger together," he began, his voice calm but firm. "If we act alone or divided, we will fail. But if we stand united, no force in the galaxy can break us." His words struck a chord. For the first time in days, the room fell silent. People nodded in agreement, realizing Benjamin was right. Earth couldn't afford to be split over this. They needed a plan, one that showed strength without rushing into disaster. While the diplomats debated strategy, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to prepare for the worst. In labs and factories around the world, teams tested new weapons systems designed to counteract Zix technology. These weren't ordinary weapons. They were built using reverse-engineered alien tech recovered from past encounters. Humanity may not have been as advanced as the Zix, but they were creative and resourceful. Every hour brought progress. Every day brought new breakthroughs. Colonel Daniel Brooks oversaw much of this effort. A tall man with graying hair and a no-nonsense attitude, he spent most of his time traveling between military bases, checking on production lines, and meeting with inventors. He didn't care about politics or speeches. He cared about results. Under his leadership, Earth's defenses grew stronger by the day. Volunteers poured in from all walks of life. Farmers left their fields, teachers closed their classrooms, and office workers quit their jobs to join newly formed defense forces. Training camps sprang up across the globe, packed with people eager to learn how to fight for their planet. Some trained to pilot ships, others learned how to operate advanced weaponry, and many simply offered their skills wherever they were needed. In cities like Chicago and Los Angeles, civilians did what they could to help. Families organized fundraisers, baking cookies and selling handmade crafts to raise money for the cause. Children wrote letters to soldiers, thanking them for protecting Earth. Teenagers painted murals on walls, turning empty streets into galleries of hope and defiance. Everywhere you looked, there was a sense of purpose, a shared determination to protect what mattered most. Even in quieter places, the spirit of unity spread. In Oak Ridge, Kansas, neighbors gathered in the town square to discuss how they could contribute. Old Mr. Peterson donated scrap metal from his barn to be used in shipbuilding. Mrs. Thompson, the local baker, promised to send care packages to troops stationed far away. Everyone wanted to play a part, no matter how small. As Earth prepared for whatever came next, news of humanity's response reached other parts of the galaxy. Alien species watched with curiosity, unsure whether to admire Earth's resilience or fear its anger. Some sent messages of support, offering advice or resources. Others remained silent, waiting to see how events unfolded. Back in Nebraska, Alex's family continued to cope with their loss. His sister Laura joined a local protest group, speaking out about her brother's life and the need for justice. His parents found solace in knowing that Alex's death had inspired so many to come together. Though the pain never fully went away, they took comfort in seeing humanity rise above despair. Slowly but surely, Earth transformed itself. What started as grief turned into resolve, then into action. The question now was simple. Would the Zix collective listen, or would they force humanity to prove its strength? News of Alex Carter's death spread far beyond Earth, reaching corners of the galaxy most humans didn't even know existed. Alien species who had never paid much attention to humanity suddenly found themselves discussing the incident. Some were shocked by the Zix Collective's actions, while others dismissed it as unimportant. But one thing was certain: Earth's reaction had caught everyone's eye. Kayla Voss, a diplomat from the Altrian race, watched the events unfold with growing concern. The Altrians were known for their peaceful nature and commitment to fairness. They believed in solving problems through dialogue rather than conflict. Kayla, with her soft voice and calm demeanor, often served as a mediator between warring species. When she heard about Alex's death, she felt a deep sadness, not just for him, but for what it might mean for the galaxy. The Zix Collective, however, saw things differently. Back on their home planet, leaders gathered in a dimly lit chamber to discuss the situation. They argued loudly, their voices echoing off the metallic walls. Some believed they should apologize to Earth and hand over the operative responsible for Alex's death. Others insisted that apologizing would make them look weak, especially since Alex had been in their territory without permission. "We did nothing wrong," said one Zix official, his tone sharp. "The human wandered into our space. We acted within our rights." "But the humans don't see it that way," another countered. "Their anger is real, and it's spreading. If we ignore them, we risk losing allies, and maybe even starting a war." The debate went on for hours, with no clear solution in sight. Meanwhile, Earth's protests grew louder, its preparations more visible. Ships armed with experimental weapons patrolled near Zix borders, sending a clear message: humanity wouldn't back down. In the middle of this chaos, Kayla decided to act. She reached out to the Zix leadership, requesting an audience. Though skeptical, they agreed to meet with her. When she arrived at their outpost, a massive structure floating in the void of space, she was greeted coldly. The Zix viewed her involvement as interference, but Kayla didn't care. She had seen too many conflicts spiral out of control to stay silent. "You must understand the weight of what you've done," Kayla told the Zix Council, her pale blue skin glowing faintly under the artificial lights. "To kill a human may seem small to you, but to them, it is everything. It has united their species in a way I have never seen before." The Zix listened but showed little emotion. Their faces remained blank behind their reflective visors, unreadable. One of them finally spoke. "Humans are unpredictable. How can we trust they won't attack us regardless of what we do?" Kayla sighed, knowing they had a point. Humanity's response had been swift and fierce, surprising even those who thought they understood Earth. Still, she pressed on. "Apologizing is not a sign of weakness. It's a step toward peace. If you refuse, you risk turning the entire galaxy against you." Her words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. For a moment, it seemed like the Zix might consider her advice, but pride ran deep in their culture, and admitting fault wasn't easy for them. Back on Earth, Rachel Meyer followed these developments closely. She had become a central figure in humanity's movement, using her platform to keep people informed and united. Her articles highlighted both Earth's progress and the concerns of other alien species. She interviewed Kayla Voss via holographic transmission, asking tough questions about the Zix's behavior and the potential for diplomacy. "Do you think they'll listen?" Rachel asked during the interview. Kayla hesitated before answering. "I hope so. But hope alone won't solve this. Both sides must be willing to compromise." As the days passed, tensions continued to rise. Earth's military drills grew more frequent, showcasing its newfound strength. Other alien species debated whether to side with humanity or stay neutral. Some sent messages of support, praising Earth's courage. Others warned that escalation could destabilize the galaxy. For now, the Zix remained silent, neither apologizing nor retaliating, but everyone knew the standoff couldn't last forever. Sooner or later, something or someone would force the issue. And when that moment came, the galaxy would hold its breath, waiting to see what happened next. Earth's patience was running thin. Days turned into weeks, and still, the Zix Collective refused to apologize or take responsibility for Alex Carter's death. The silence from their side only fueled humanity's anger. People around the world demanded action, and leaders knew they couldn't wait any longer. It was time to show the galaxy that Earth wasn't a planet to be ignored. Colonel Daniel Brooks stood on the bridge of a newly constructed warship, his eyes scanning the rows of monitors before him. The ship, named Guardian, was one of many built in response to the crisis. Its sleek design and advanced weaponry made it a symbol of Earth's determination. Around him, crew members worked tirelessly, preparing for what might come next. Though no one wanted war, everyone understood the stakes. "Ready the fleet," Colonel Brooks ordered, his voice steady but firm. "We're moving to the edge of Zix territory." The decision to deploy Earth's forces wasn't made lightly. Diplomats had spent hours pleading with the Zix for a resolution, but their efforts fell flat. Benjamin Hayes, the U.S. ambassador, had tried everything. Negotiations, appeals to reason, even personal messages sent directly to Zix leaders. But the Zix responded with cold indifference, brushing off Earth's demands as if they meant nothing. As the ships moved into position near Zix space, Earth broadcast its intentions to the galaxy. Rachel Meyer played a key role in this effort, writing statements that were translated into dozens of alien languages. Her words were clear and direct. "We do not seek war, but we will defend ourselves. Hand over those responsible for Alex Carter's death, or face the consequences." The message echoed across star systems, reaching species both near and far. Some aliens admired Earth's boldness, while others feared the instability it might bring. Kayla Voss, the Altrian diplomat, watched nervously as tensions rose. She reached out to Rachel Meyer again, hoping to mediate before things spiraled out of control. "You're sending a strong message," Kayla said during their conversation. "But are you prepared for what happens if the Zix refuse?" Rachel nodded, though she felt uneasy herself. "We've given them every chance to make this right. If they won't listen, we have no choice but to act." Meanwhile, the Zix leadership grew uneasy. Reports flooded in about Earth's growing military presence near their borders. Ships equipped with experimental weapons loomed like shadows in the darkness of space. Even the most stubborn Zix officials began to feel pressure. They called emergency meetings, debating whether to stand their ground or back down. "It's just a human," one official argued. "Why should we bow to their threats?" "Because they aren't alone anymore," another shot back. "Look at how many species are watching us. If we fight, we lose allies. And maybe more." Despite their internal struggles, the Zix remained defiant. They issued a statement calling Earth's actions reckless and unjustified. To them, Alex's death was an accident, not worth the risk of war. But their words did little to calm the storm brewing around them. Back on Earth, people rallied behind their leaders. In cities like Chicago and Los Angeles, crowds gathered to watch live broadcasts of the fleet's movements. Children waved flags painted with stars and stripes, while adults chanted slogans like "Justice for Alex" and "Earth stands together." The sense of unity was overwhelming, a reminder that humanity could rise above fear when pushed to its limits. Even in quieter places, the spirit of defiance burned bright. In Oak Ridge, Kansas, farmers paused their work to tune into updates on old radios. Shopkeepers left TVs on all day, replaying footage of Earth's ships gliding through space. Everyone felt connected to something bigger than themselves. As the standoff continued, Earth's leaders prepared for the worst. Military drills became daily routines, testing strategies and ensuring readiness. Scientists worked around the clock to improve weapon systems, knowing that technology would play a crucial role in any conflict. Volunteers trained harder than ever, determined to protect their planet. Far beyond Earth, other species waited anxiously. Some sent messages of support to humanity, praising their courage. Others stayed silent, unsure which side to favor. But all eyes were fixed on the edge of Zix territory, where Earth's fleet hovered like a storm cloud ready to burst. No one knew what would happen next, but one thing was certain. Humanity had drawn a line in the stars, and the galaxy was watching to see if the Zix would cross it. The galaxy held its breath as a Zix delegation agreed to meet with Earth's representatives. It was a small step, but one that offered a glimmer of hope. The meeting took place aboard the International Space Station, a neutral location chosen to avoid accusations of bias. For the first time in weeks, humanity and the Zix Collective sat face to face, their differences laid bare under the cold light of fluorescent panels. Rachel Meyer stood at the center of it all, her presence both calm and commanding. Though she wasn't an official diplomat, her role as the voice of humanity had earned her a seat at the table. Beside her sat Benjamin Hayes, whose quiet confidence helped steady the tense atmosphere. Across from them were the Zix representatives, tall, shadowy figures clad in sleek suits that reflected the station's artificial glow. Their faces remained hidden behind visors, making it impossible to read their expressions. The meeting began awkwardly, with long pauses and mistranslated phrases. Communication between species was never easy, especially when emotions ran high. A team of translators worked furiously to bridge the gap, their voices overlapping as they tried to convey each side's points. Despite the challenges, Rachel spoke clearly, her words carrying the weight of billions. "We're here because of one life," Rachel said, leaning forward slightly. One human life that was taken without reason or respect. Alex Carter wasn't a soldier or a threat. He was just a person. And now his death has united an entire planet. The Zix leader tilted his head, a gesture that might have been curiosity or dismissal. "Your anger is misplaced," he replied through the translator. "The incident was accidental. We do not value violence against individuals. But you valued controlling our actions more than sparing his life," Benjamin interjected, his tone sharp but controlled. "You fired first and asked questions later. That's not an accident. It's arrogance." The room grew tense, the air thick with unspoken hostility. The Zix shifted uncomfortably, their mechanical movements creating faint metallic sounds. They argued that Alex's presence in their territory justified their response, insisting that Earth should respect galactic boundaries. But Rachel and Benjamin refused to back down. "Boundaries don't excuse murder," Rachel countered, her voice rising slightly. She pulled up a holographic image of Alex, a smiling man standing in a cornfield, sunlight streaming down around him. "This is who you killed. Does he look like a threat to you? Or does he look like someone who dreamed of seeing the stars?" For a moment, there was silence. Even the Zix seemed affected by the image. Though they quickly masked their reactions, one of them muttered something in their language, prompting hurried whispers among the group. Whatever they said, it wasn't shared with Earth's representatives. As the hours dragged on, frustration mounted. The Zix continued to deflect responsibility, framing Alex's death as an unavoidable outcome of human intrusion. Rachel clenched her fists beneath the table, fighting the urge to shout. Benjamin placed a reassuring hand on her arm, reminding her to stay composed. They couldn't afford to let anger derail the conversation. Finally, Kayla Voss intervened. Having traveled to the space station to observe the talks, she stepped forward, her pale blue skin glowing softly in the dim light. "Both sides must find common ground," she urged, her voice gentle yet firm. "Prolonging this conflict benefits no one. If apologies cannot be given freely, then perhaps actions can speak louder than words." Her suggestion hung in the air, leaving everyone to ponder its meaning. The Zix exchanged glances, their body language unreadable. Rachel and Benjamin exchanged a quick look as well, silently agreeing to consider Kayla's advice. By the end of the meeting, no resolution had been reached. The Zix promised to discuss Earth's demands further, but their reluctance was obvious. Still, the encounter left an impression. Humanity had stood its ground, refusing to be intimidated. For the first time, the Zix saw Earth not as a weakling, but as a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, news of the meeting spread quickly. People gathered in living rooms and public squares to watch recordings of Rachel's speech. Her words resonated deeply, reminding everyone why they were fighting, not for revenge, but for justice. As the days passed, preparations continued. Ships remained stationed near Zix territory, a constant reminder of Earth's resolve. The galaxy waited anxiously, wondering if diplomacy could prevail or if war was inevitable. Tensions reached a breaking point as Earth issued an ultimatum to the Zix collective. The message was simple and direct. Hand over those responsible for Alex Carter's death within 48 hours, or face the consequences. It wasn't a request, it was a demand. Humanity had shown patience, but now it was time for action. The Zix leadership gathered in their dimly lit council chamber, their metallic forms casting long shadows on the walls. They argued loudly, their voices sharp and mechanical. Some believed they should comply with Earth's demands, fearing the unknown power of humanity's united front. Others saw compliance as weakness, insisting that backing down would damage their reputation across the galaxy. "We cannot surrender to primitives," one Zix official declared, slamming his fist on the table. "If we give in now, every species will see us as vulnerable. But if we refuse, we risk war," another countered. "Look at what they've done already. Their ships are stronger than we thought. Their people are more united than we imagined. Are you willing to gamble everything on pride?" The debate raged on, with no clear solution in sight. Meanwhile, back on Earth, people watched and waited. In cities like New York and Tokyo, crowds gathered around massive screens displaying live updates from space. Protesters held signs reading "Justice Now" and "No More Silence." Even children joined in, drawing pictures of Alex with stars surrounding him, symbolizing hope for peace. Rachel Meyer stayed busy, writing articles to keep morale high. Her words reminded everyone why they were fighting, not just for Alex, but for the future of humanity. She interviewed soldiers, scientists, and ordinary citizens, sharing their stories with the world. Each piece strengthened Earth's resolve, showing that this wasn't just about one man. It was about standing up for what was right. Benjamin Hayes worked tirelessly behind the scenes, coordinating with global leaders and preparing for every possible outcome. He knew that issuing an ultimatum was risky, but he also knew it was necessary. "We've given them every chance to make this right," he told his colleagues. "Now it's up to them." As the deadline approached, the Zix remained silent. Their ships stayed close to their borders, watching Earth's fleet with cautious eyes. Other alien species watched too, unsure which side to support. Kayla Voss reached out again, urging both parties to find common ground before it was too late. But her pleas fell on deaf ears. Finally, the 48 hours passed. Earth's leaders waited anxiously for a response from the Zix. When none came, Colonel Daniel Brooks gave the order to prepare for action. Ships moved into position, their weapon systems primed and ready. The galaxy braced itself for what might happen next. But then something unexpected occurred. Classified documents leaked onto the Galactic network, revealing shocking details about Alex's death. The files showed that the Zix operative who killed him had acted under direct orders, not out of panic, but as part of a calculated test. They wanted to see how Earth would react to aggression. The revelation sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Alien species who had once dismissed Earth's anger now condemned the Zix's actions. Protests erupted outside Zix embassies on neutral planets, with crowds chanting slogans like "Shame on the Zix" and "Justice for Humanity." On Earth, outrage reached new heights. People couldn't believe the Zix had planned such cruelty. Rachel wrote an article titled "Betrayal Beyond Belief," calling for immediate accountability. Her words struck a nerve, sparking even louder calls for justice. Faced with mounting pressure, cracks began to form within the Zix collective. Some officials pushed for full cooperation with Earth, while others called for retaliation. Their unity crumbled, leaving them weaker than ever before. For the first time, the Zix realized they had underestimated humanity. What started as a single life lost had become a galactic crisis, one that threatened to redefine power in the stars. The galaxy held its breath as Earth prepared to demonstrate its strength. With the leaked documents exposing the Zix Collective's deceit, humanity's resolve burned brighter than ever. Leaders across the planet agreed. It was time to show the Zix and the rest of the galaxy that Earth wasn't a species to be tested or trifled with. Colonel Daniel Brooks stood on the command deck of the Guardian, his eyes scanning the monitors displaying Earth's fleet. Dozens of ships, newly built and armed with cutting-edge technology, floated in perfect formation near Zix territory. Each vessel hummed with energy, ready to act at a moment's notice. The sight alone sent a clear message. Humanity meant business. "Begin Operation Show of Force," Colonel Brooks ordered, his voice calm but firm. The fleet sprang into action, executing a series of maneuvers designed to display Earth's military might. Ships darted through space in intricate patterns, their engines leaving trails of light against the blackness. Weapon systems powered up, creating flashes visible even from great distances. It was a performance meant to impress and intimidate. Back on Earth, people watched live broadcasts of the operation, their hearts swelling with pride. In cities like London and Sydney, crowds cheered as footage of the fleet played on massive screens. Families gathered around televisions in small towns, marveling at how far humanity had come. Even skeptics who doubted Earth's ability to stand against advanced aliens found themselves moved by the spectacle. Rachel Meyer covered the event in real time, her reports reaching millions. She described the fleet's movements as a symphony of strength and unity, emphasizing how ordinary people had come together to make it possible. Her words reminded everyone that this wasn't just about weapons. It was about proving that humanity could rise above fear and division when pushed to its limits. The Zix Collective watched nervously as Earth's ships performed their maneuvers. Their leaders convened another emergency meeting, their usual confidence shaken. For the first time, they realized they might have underestimated their opponents. Reports flooded in about Earth's technological advancements, many of which rivaled Zix innovations. How had such a young species achieved so much in so little time? Kayla Voss observed the situation closely, her pale blue skin glowing faintly under the soft lights of her ship. She admired Earth's determination, seeing it as proof that even seemingly insignificant species could change the course of history. Secretly, she reached out to Rachel Meyer again, offering assistance if tensions escalated further. "I've seen enough conflict to know when balance is tipping," Kayla said during their encrypted conversation. "If you need allies, I'll do what I can to help." Rachel hesitated, unsure whether to trust an alien diplomat. But the sincerity in Kayla's voice convinced her to keep communication lines open. "Thank you," Rachel replied. "We're not looking for war, but we won't back down either." As days passed, other alien species began taking sides. Some, inspired by Earth's courage, publicly condemned the Zix's actions. Others remained neutral, unwilling to risk involvement in a potential conflict. But all eyes stayed fixed on the standoff between Earth and the Zix. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders debated their next move. Benjamin Hayes argued for caution, warning that aggression could spiral out of control. "We've made our point," he told his colleagues. "Now we wait to see if the Zix will respond." But others, including Colonel Brooks, believed the pressure needed to stay high. "They only understand strength," he said. "If we ease off now, they'll see it as weakness." For now, Earth maintained its position, keeping the fleet stationed near Zix borders. The galaxy waited anxiously, unsure what would happen next. Would the Zix finally relent? Or would they dig in their heels, risking everything for pride? One thing was certain. Humanity had proven it wouldn't go quietly into the night. What started as grief over one man's death had become a galactic movement, uniting billions under a single cause. And no matter what happened next, Earth's voice would never be ignored again. The Zix Collective faced a choice they never expected to make. For weeks, they had dismissed humanity as weak and disorganized. But now they found themselves cornered by Earth's unwavering resolve. The leaked documents exposing their deliberate role in Alex Carter's death had turned public opinion against them, both on Earth and among other alien species. Even within their own ranks, cracks were forming. Some Zix officials argued for surrender, while others pushed for retaliation. In the end, survival outweighed pride. Faced with Earth's growing military presence and the galaxy's mounting criticism, the Zix leadership made a decision. They issued a statement broadcast across star systems, offering a formal apology for Alex's death. It was brief, cold, and lacking emotion, but it acknowledged what had happened, a rare admission of fault from a species known for its arrogance. "We regret the loss of life," the message read. "It was not our intention to harm. We will hand over those responsible and seek no further conflict." The announcement stunned the galaxy. Many doubted its sincerity, believing the Zix acted out of fear rather than genuine remorse. But for humanity, it was enough, at least for now. Rachel Meyer broke the news to the world, her voice steady as she addressed millions of viewers. "This is a step forward," she said, "but it doesn't bring Alex back. What matters now is ensuring this never happens again." Back in Nebraska, Alex's family listened to the announcement with mixed feelings. His mother, Mary, cried quietly, clutching a photo of her son. His father, John, stared at the ground, his jaw tight with anger. Laura, his sister, felt relief, but also emptiness. An apology couldn't heal their pain, but it was a start. Earth's leaders debated how to respond. Benjamin Hayes urged caution, warning that accepting the Zix offer didn't mean trusting them. "We need to stay vigilant," he told the United Nations Assembly. "This isn't over just because they say it is." Colonel Daniel Brooks agreed, keeping the fleet stationed near Zix territory as a reminder of Earth's strength. He knew better than to lower his guard, even if the immediate threat seemed to fade. "Let them prove their words," he said during a briefing. Actions speak louder than apologies. Other alien species watched closely, some applauding Earth's restraint, others questioning whether justice had truly been served. Kayla Voss remained hopeful, seeing the situation as a turning point for galactic relations. She reached out to Rachel one last time, praising humanity's unity and resilience. "You've shown the galaxy what it means to stand together," Kayla said. "Don't lose sight of that." As days turned into weeks, life on Earth began to shift. Protest signs came down, replaced by murals honoring Alex's memory. Factories returned to producing goods instead of weapons. Families went back to their routines, though the scars of the crisis lingered. In classrooms, teachers used Alex's story to teach lessons about courage, unity, and justice. But humanity didn't forget. Monuments dedicated to Alex sprang up in cities worldwide, each one bearing the same inscription: "One life equals all lives." Flags flew proudly, reminding everyone of what had been achieved through unity and determination. Soldiers stationed aboard ships became heroes, celebrated not for fighting, but for protecting their planet without firing a single shot. For the Zix, the consequences were severe. Their reputation suffered, and several alien species cut ties with them entirely. Internal divisions weakened their leadership, leaving them vulnerable to challenges from within. Though they avoided war, they paid a heavy price for their actions. Far beyond Earth, the galaxy reflected on the events. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing up to even the most powerful adversaries. Earth wasn't just a small blue dot in space anymore. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and strength. As stars twinkled above fields of corn in Nebraska, people looked to the sky with renewed purpose. They knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but they also knew one truth: when united, humanity could face anything, even the vastness of the cosmos. Months passed, and the galaxy slowly returned to a sense of calm. The crisis sparked by Alex Carter's death had changed everything, for humanity and for the stars beyond. Earth emerged stronger than ever, its people united in ways no one thought possible. Monuments dedicated to Alex stood tall in cities worldwide, their inscriptions serving as reminders of the cost of complacency and the power of standing together. Rachel Meyer spent her days writing a book about the events, titled One Voice, One World. It told the story of Alex's life, his tragic death, and how humanity rose up to demand justice. She included interviews with soldiers, scientists, farmers, and families, showing how ordinary people had come together to protect their planet. The book became required reading in schools, inspiring future generations to believe in the worth of every single life. In Nebraska, Alex's family found solace in knowing his memory would live on. His mother, Mary, visited the mural painted on the old barn often, touching the words, "Never again," with trembling fingers. His father, John, returned to fixing tractors, finding comfort in routine. Laura continued speaking out, sharing Alex's story at rallies and conferences to remind others of the importance of peace and unity. Earth's leaders worked tirelessly to ensure such a crisis wouldn't happen again. Benjamin Hayes helped draft new treaties with alien species, emphasizing mutual respect and cooperation. "We've proven we can defend ourselves," he said during a speech. "But our goal isn't war, it's understanding." Colonel Daniel Brooks oversaw the gradual demobilization of Earth's fleet, though he kept a small force stationed near Zix borders as a precaution. He knew trust took time to rebuild, especially after betrayal. Soldiers who had served aboard the ships became symbols of hope, celebrated not for fighting, but for protecting their planet without firing a shot. The Zix Collective struggled to recover from the fallout. Their reputation was tarnished, and many alien species distanced themselves, unwilling to associate with a group that had shown such disregard for life. Internal divisions weakened their leadership, leaving them vulnerable to challenges from within. Though they avoided war, they paid a heavy price for underestimating humanity. Other alien species viewed Earth differently now. Once seen as insignificant, humans were now respected, and sometimes feared, for their determination and unity. Kayla Voss remained an ally, occasionally sending messages of encouragement to Rachel and other human leaders. "You've reminded us all of what's possible when we work together," she wrote in one note. "Don't stop believing in yourselves." As years went by, humanity looked to the stars with cautious optimism. Space travel resumed, but this time with stricter guidelines and better communication protocols. Scientists studied alien technology, using it to improve Earth's defenses, while also advancing medicine, energy, and education. Children grew up dreaming of exploring the galaxy, inspired by stories of how their planet had stood firm against injustice. Alex's legacy lived on in countless ways. Artists created songs and paintings honoring his memory, turning him into a symbol of hope and resilience. Teachers used his story to teach lessons about kindness, courage, and the importance of standing up for what's right. Even in quiet towns like Oak Ridge, Kansas, neighbors gathered to share stories of how Alex's death had brought them closer together. Far beyond Earth, the galaxy reflected on the events. Humanity had proven itself capable of facing even the most daunting challenges. They weren't perfect. They made mistakes, argued, and doubted, but they always found a way to rise above. Earth wasn't just a small blue dot in space anymore. It was a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that even the smallest lives mattered. As stars shimmered in the night sky, people around the world looked up with pride. They knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but they also knew one truth. When united, humanity could face anything, even the vastness of the cosmos. And so, Earth moved forward, carrying Alex's memory with them, ready to meet whatever the galaxy had in store.